Welcome to our official first Local 804 contract talk. Just want to go over a few things. And this contract right here, I want everybody to know that it's divided into two sections. We have the white pages, which are considered the National Master Agreement for all you young guys and girls, and the yellow pages, as it's called, are the Local 804 supplement. All right, so the first article in the contract, Article 1, we're not going to go in order, we're just going to skip around, but Article 1 is parties to the agreement. The employer and the union adopt this article and enter into this agreement with a mutual intent of preserving and protecting work and job opportunities for the employees covered by this agreement. That's all of us. No bargaining unit work will be subcontracted, transferred, leased, assigned, or conveyed, except as provided in this agreement. So this is our protection right here. It starts right off with Article 1. Okay? Rocky, what does that mean to you? I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Rocky DiPaolo, one of my trustees.
It
Forgot
means
that.
that exactly what it says, that language is there to protect jobs, people that work here, and that the work should not be given out to a subcontractor who's gonna come in and do it for a cheaper rate.
Now, if you go to Section 2 of Article 1, it's going to say employees covered. And if you read that, it's not hard to understand. Employees covered by this agreement shall be construed to mean, we're already recognized, feeder drivers, package drivers, sorters, loaders, unloaders, office clerical, clerks, customer counter, porters, mechanics, where it's applicable, because this is a national master agreement. Okay, maintenance personnel, building maintenance, car washers, United Parcel Service employees in the employer's air operation, and the extent allowed by law, employees in the export and import operations performing load and unload duties. Would that be in the airports?
Airports, I know in certain belts, they have an area that's cordoned off, only certain people could go in there.
All right, so that means that all of you that are watching this right now are covered by this agreement. Now, this is the National Master. If you go and turn to Article 2, which I'm going to look at page 4 and 5, okay, it's a single bargaining unit. What does that mean? All employees covered by this agreement in this book and the various supplements, meaning the yellow pages, shall constitute one bargaining unit. That means that we all negotiate this contract against UPS or with UPS together. The printing of this master agreement and the aforesaid supplements, this is a problem that I have, because we don't write this book, lawyers do, so they use big words. Aforesaid supplements, riders, and addendums in separate agreements is for convenience only, and it's not intended to create separate bargaining units. Okay, that's very important when we're talking about separate bargaining units and separate agreements. If you skip down to Section 2, where it says riders, now a rider could be a supplement, it could be listed as a rider or addenda. They shall remain in effect. Any new supplement, rider, or addendum, or changes to the supplement, riders, or addenda, or in the contract affiliation of any local union covered by this agreement must be submitted to the Joint National Negotiating Committee for review and approval. So whatever we negotiate as Local 804 separately in these yellow pages has to go and be submitted to the national. Failure to be approved by the committee shall render such supplement, rider, or addendum null and void, meaning that they're not going to count it as part of the contract. Now, if you go to page 5, this is very important. Any lesser condition contained in any supplement, rider, or addendum shall be superseded by the conditions contained in this master agreement. Rock, does that mean that if the supplement has lesser value to us, that the national master supersedes it, and we use that language.
Yes, unless it says that it does not supersede it.
Right. So, however, except where specifically stated otherwise in the master agreement, nothing in this master agreement shall deprive any employee of any superior benefit contained in their supplement, right, or addendum. So this is an advantage to us. There's a lot of stuff in these white pages that overlap with the yellow pages that maybe we negotiated a little bit better for. So what Article 2 is saying, specifically Section 2, is that if we have an advantage in the local language, in the supplement, in the yellow pages, then we could use that before we, instead of the national master. The company's going to say, and they have said, well, so that's not what it says in the contract. Yeah, it does, because Article 2, Section 2 says that we can use the superior benefit. It's very explicit. We're going to skip over. Now, we just read about the national master, who it covers, what the bargaining unit is, and I'm going to try to tie some of these things together, right? If we skip over to Article 6, Section 1, extra contract agreement. How many people do we know that work time only? How many people do we know that go home scheduled off? How many people do we know that run their lunch, make a side deal with the supervisor, work their vacation? We all know people like that. It's explicit right here. Except as may be otherwise provided in this agreement, more lawyer talk, the employer agrees not to attempt to enter into any agreement or contract with its employees, either individually or collectively, or to require or attempt to require employees to sign any document, either individually or collectively, which in any way conflicts with the provisions of this agreement. Any such agreement or document shall be null and void. Any such agreement or document may not be placed in the employee's file or used by the employer as a basis for discipline or used in connection with any disciplinary proceedings, nor may any such agreement or document, nor the contents thereof, be divulged to any person or entity. In addition, the company will not discipline an employee for refusing to sign any company form related to the principle of a fair day's work unless the signing is required by law or by this agreement. So the signing, maybe we'll talk about that another day, signing stuff, but you're only required to sign stuff regarding your driver's license, right?
Used to be DOT, now that's electronic. Basically, I'm sorry, not DOT, used to be the MVDC, right? And now that's electronic. DOT, anything required by law.
So the most important thing about this article is the first paragraph. Any deal making, any time only, any working through your lunch, working your vacations, switching your vacations, all this extracurricular stuff that people do is entering into a separate agreement. As good Teamsters, as good union brothers and sisters, we should not be doing this. We absolutely should follow this contract. Always think that whatever you're doing in Local 804 affects over 7,300 people next to you. The last thing that I want to talk about today is something that came up recently, and it's not a good thing. It's Article 16, Section 3.3. It's on page 44 of the National Master Agreement. Now, if you look at Section 3.3, it's alternative work, alcohol-controlled substances. We're going to skip that first paragraph for now. Okay, we're going to go drop down to the second paragraph, and a lot of people don't know this. I was just at a parking lot meeting today, and most of the guys didn't know it. But as stated in this article, in this section, any driver cited for for drinking under the influence who does not have his or her license suspended or who has limited driving privileges shall be assessed by an SAP, substance abuse professional, within 5 working days of the citation. If the SAP determines the driver does not require rehabilitation, then he or she shall be allowed to return to driving. Until the assessment is completed, the driver shall be allowed to work at his hourly wage and guarantee. If rehabilitation is required, the above paragraph shall also be applicable. The right to rehabilitation provided in Article 35, Section 4.11, shall not be applicable to a driver who completes a rehabilitation program under this paragraph unless, as a result of the DUI citation, the driver is convicted or losing his or her license for driving. So what we're telling you as your local 804 executive board, if you get into a ticket, if you're out on a Friday, Saturday night, and you're pulled over by the police and you're issued a DUI or DWI and you're over the limit, first of all, you're required to tell your employer, right? And within 5 days, you have to seek counseling and see a SAP, a substance abuse professional, and they're going to determine if you're able to drive or not, to continue driving. If you cannot, you're still guaranteed work inside, right? You're guaranteed work inside up to 2 years under this agreement. But it's very important that you tell the company what happened. They can set you up with a SAP program. You have to be cleared to return to work to drive. If you can't drive, they have to still pay you your wage and you work on the inside, right? You must inform the company if you have your license. Well, in this case, if your license isn't even suspended or revoked, right? You must inform the company about this. We cannot let our members not do this. The first part of the article says when an employee in any job classification requiring driving has lost his or her license for driving under the influence of alcohol or controlled substance, he or she will be offered available inside work of 1 full-time or 2 part-time openings not to exceed 2 years. So this is our protection. These are your rights. If you're jammed up, don't think that you're going to hide it. Okay? They get your information. They get your abstract. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Tell them what's going on. You're protected. That's all I have. Rocky's my contract expert sitting next to me. I appreciate everybody listening. This was the first installment of 804 Contract Talk. It's going to get better and more detailed as we go on. We're going to have different guests. And, if people want to ask specific questions, we might possibly figure out a way to do that. You could put it in the comments at the bottom if you want certain questions answered, and we'll be more than happy to do that. Thank you all for listening and watching.